Impact Radio 102.1 FM. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to the newspaper review where we get to analyze all of the stories that made front page in some of the dailies that we have with us today. Yesterday, all over the news, all over social media, we saw a huge defection of key political figures in the opposition party to the APC. And I think this is one story that is going to be all over the front page of the papers that we will be having today. So I guess we'll be talking much about it when we go into the papers properly. But it's important I start this way. Nigeria as of today is going through so much in terms of insecurity, in terms of economic challenges and the likes. And at this point, when we are supposed to be seeing governance taking place, when we are supposed to be seeing, things being done so as to make sure that the Nigerian people have a better way of life, to make sure the Nigerian people have a better lifestyle. But it seems the political class of our society are rather only interested in the next election. It seems the political class of our society are not even in tune with what's happening in the country at the moment, because I would think that the best way to get re-elected into any position in power, or of power as the case may be, is when the people get to see that whoever is in charge of the affairs of their community, whoever is in charge of the affairs of their local government, of the state, or the president, that the people will be convinced to vote again because they have seen what this person can actually offer to them in the first term. Shouldn't that be the convincing factor of why people would vote for you the next time? Well, that's what I've always thought. But for the Nigerian political class, it doesn't seem that way. It seems it's a different ball game altogether. It seems you just have to be in tune with the right political party, and maybe, just maybe, everything will work out for you. Well, that's how many people put it on social media. That's how many Nigerians, if you go to speak them on a day-to-day activities, are putting it. Is that how it's meant to be? Well, that's for you to know and for you to give an answer to. And you can always get to do that on the show. You can always get to participate and get your voice heard if you reach us on all our social media handles. We are on X, FKA, Twitter, we're on Instagram and on TikTok at impact 102.1 FM. We're on Facebook at impact radio 102.1 FM. We are live on YouTube at impact 102.1 FM. So go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on the notification button so you can get to know whatever is happening live right here in the studio. You can get to call us up. Yes, you can talk to us via your mobile phones if you call us on 0704 425 2109. I take that one more time, 0704 425 2109. Or if you reach us via WhatsApp and the regular text message route on 0907 224 5018, 0907 224 5018. My name is Uche Okorie. Welcome to the newspaper review. Okay, in case you're just joining us, this is the newspaper review right here on our Impact Radio 102.1 FM, where we get to analyze all of the stories that made front page in some of the dailies that we have with us this fine Thursday morning. And we will be starting with the Daily Trust this morning. And the Daily Trust has this one for us. It says, the biggest story, and it leads with 2027. Allow younger people to run, Baba Ahmed tells Tinubu. 2027. Allow younger people to run, Baba Ahmed tells Tinubu. Like I said in the beginning of the show, it seems everybody's focused on 2027. No one is focused on governance from 2025, 2026, even before 2027. And I don't get it. I do not understand what the opposition is doing. I do not understand how it works right now. But right now, the focus is on 2027. In the political space of Nigeria, it's like 2025 and 2026 should just disappear. And 2027 should come. Because that's where all the focus is currently on in the political space. Underneath that one, you get to see a huge picture of the president alongside, the NSA, head of the NSA, Nuhu Ribadu, alongside other intelligence agents, the Police Force Intelligence Department, Benjamin Okello, the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, NIA, Mohammed, National Security Advisor, the president himself, and of course, his chief of staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, right here on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Underneath that one, you see this one. Delta Governor, Atiku's running mate, others join APC. Delta Governor, Atiku's running mate, others join APC. This was the story which I opened with, and of course we saw the video of the Delta State governor, and the other prominent people from Delta State that have joined the APC, and social media was abuzz yesterday with so many people giving their own thoughts on why they think it's wrong, why they think it's right. So many people talking about how this is politics and this is how it works. Different things going on. But good one for Delta State. Let's see how that pans out. Hopefully it's going to be positive for the people themselves, because to the best of my knowledge, all the people are interested in is good governance. Good governance is what the people want. Just underneath the nameplate of the Daily Trust this morning, we see this one. Insecurity. Enough is enough, President tells security chiefs. Insecurity. Enough is enough, President tells security chief. And last week I was talking about something like this, and I find it funny that constantly the president has to restate the fact that the security chiefs needs to do more, that the president has to constantly re-echo the fact that they need to put insecurity to an end. And it's somehow, because you would expect that everyone manning their jobs should know how to do their jobs. The president brought a team of people who he believes are capable of doing the job. And so if he has to keep reminding you of how to do your job, doesn't that fall short of his belief in you? Doesn't that fall short of what the people expect of you? Because over and over, this is not the first time we're seeing the president meeting with service chiefs, and on the headlines, the next thing we see is he re-echoing the importance of how insecurity needs to be nipped at the bud. This is not the first, this is not the second. And so therefore, what is the security chiefs really doing? If your boss has to call you into his office almost every time to remind you of your job, then probably, maybe you do not know the job as well as you think you do. And if that's the case, what is supposed to be done? Well, many will say, if this is a company, what would the head of the company do when he realizes that people he places in significant positions are not doing their job? What would you do if you're the head of the company? That's what people are asking. Some giving answers, some dancing around the bushes. But at the end of the day, what the people want is a secured environment. The people want to be able to go to the marketplace, transact businesses as easy as they want to, come back home without thinking that maybe it's their last time on the road, without having to tell close friends and family members that, hey, please be on your phone in case something happens to me and they will need ransom and all of that. When we will go back to a time when Nigerians can move from the west to the south or from the west to the east in night buses, or from the east down to the west in night buses. When are we going to go back to that period? How many Nigerians can risk their lives right now taking night buses? What didn't used to be a risk before in the past? Sitting down here, talking to you, I could remember the amount of times I went with night buses from school, or because I'm going to another location at another state, just to make sure I'm trying to get something done. I'm trying to meet up in time in the morning. I'm trying to meet schedules. I can count like the amount of times of night buses. Can I take that risk anymore? No way. I can't even try it. I can't even imagine it. We need to go back to that time where security is intact. I'm not saying there's that we've not, had a bit of complaints, but was it this bad? Well, it has been this bad for close to a decade now. But was it this worse? Now that's another question. Moving on the papers of the Daily Trust this morning, we see this one just beside this story. Patients stranded as workers strike cripples FCT PHCs. Patients stranded as workers strike cripples FCT PHCs. You need to go look at that story on page 28. Beside that one, aviation crisis, Air Peace, foreign airlines suspend flights. Air Peace, foreign airlines suspend flights. You find that story on page 33 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, and that's the much for the Daily Trust. From the Daily Trust straight to the Guardian newspaper this morning. Remember, you can always be a part of the conversation if you reach us on 0704 425 2109, 0704 425 2109. That's for your calls. Or if you reach us via WhatsApp and your regular text message on 0907 224 5018, 0907 224 5018. Hurdles for opposition parties as APC wins more governors, others. That's the big story The Guardian is leading with this morning. And you get to see that one on page 6 of The Guardian newspaper. And of course, we get to see all the images right here. This has to do with images of the former Delta State governor, who also happens to be the running mate of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar in the 2023 presidential election under the PDP. So it was a huge shocker when you see someone of that high figure, come from the opposition party to the ruling party. It gets to show you that at least for Delta State, right now, it's covered by the APC. And it shows that so much crack is going on in the opposition party, the PDP. And it's making people ask, pertinent questions like, are the PDP currently the main opposition? Well, yes, because if we're going to look at it from the sides of the states at which they controlled, that the only other state aside the APC who has at least 5 states under their belt, which is more than that. They have more than that, but at least, I'm talking about at least 5 states under their belt. So, in a way, yes, they are the main opposition. But with things going on right now in the PDP, do you see the PDP, being the main opposition against the APC when things like this, when one of their governors who is the governor of Delta State has moved to the APC, with rumors of many other coming, moving cross-carpeting soon enough. We're seeing images right here that has Okowa, Fubara, Ganduje, and of course the current governor of Delta State, Okpebholo. I hope I got that correct, and I'm so sorry if I didn't. So, what is to be expected? Is there an expectation of the Rivers State governor, the suspended Rivers State governor, moving to the APC? Will there be more governors from the PDP moving to the APC as the rumors claim? Because right now, we know that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar of the PDP is strongly in support of a coalition which most of the southern governors are against. So what really is going on in the PDP? So many things, I'm sure, but all you have to do is sit back, relax, and of course, as everything unfolds, you will get to find out all of the details. So, moving on to other stories which we have right here on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Just beside the big picture, ECOWAS to relocate institution from Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger. I guess it's signs that there's no reunion happening anytime soon, because if their institutions are being relocated, it means there's no hope of settling the dispute and, having these persons, these countries, these states reinstated into the ECOWAS. And so the banter continues, the issues continues, and hopefully we get to, settle all of this as we know that the West African region needs to be united. The West African region needs to be together so as to make sure we have a prosperous West Africa. Underneath that one, WHO to downsize operations amid major funding cuts. You find that story on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. Underneath it, we have been unfairly blamed for insecurity in Imo. IPOB laments. You find that story on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Beside that one, 10 billion naira Rock solar project and admission of power sector failure, says RIWA. That story you find on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper, in case you want to have all of those details. And this has been something that's been going on back and forth on social media. And we also get to see, we got to see Bayo Onanuga, posting a video claiming that the White House in Washington, D.C. also uses solar power. Why I am not against, solar power in Aso Rock. I think the last time I spoke about this on the show, when AY was with me on the show, I spoke about it not necessarily being bad. But the issue is, how are we so sure this is not a way of the presidency taking hands off we ever getting a good power supply? Because we know the Nigerian thing. We know how it works in Nigeria. We've seen it way too many times. And it's hard for an average Nigerian to say, okay, they trust the government. It's really, really difficult because of the antecedents of the government. And like I said, government is a continuum. No matter which administration or whatever, there has been no trust between the Nigerian people and the leaders. And so when something like this happens, it builds up the animosity. It makes the people so conscious of the fact that, oh, is it about to happen again? Are they now leaving us to our plight? Are they now saying, oh, since this cannot be fixed, let us go away from it and settle our own selves, and maybe later we'll settle the people or something? How does it work? And with the spokesperson of the presidency coming out to say, even, what's it called? Washington, D.C., the White House uses solar power. Do the citizens of the United States of America lack electricity? Not to the best of my knowledge. So what have you done for the people? What has our leaders actually done for the people? The people keep giving and giving and giving and giving. Nothing in return. And so when they see things like this, it makes them anxious. It makes them worry that they are just on their own. And so things like this should be done more with a different way. They should go a more clever way than this. Before you do all of these things, probably you should also make sure that at least the people get 20 hours of electricity in a day, at least. And I'm not just talking about only a few quota of people. I'm talking about a larger population of the people. I don't think Nigerians, I don't think we've gotten up to 60% of Nigerians' population that has at least 15 hours of electricity in a day. 60% is a far cry. And so more needs to be done. And so you have to understand with the Nigerian people when they feel like, oh man, this is another thing. This is the government doing it again and again and again. You have to understand them. Why it's not necessarily bad for the Aso Rock to, run on solar power. It's not necessarily bad. But is this the right timing to do such a thing? Is this how you gain the trust of the people? No. You need to show more faith that you are feeling what the people are feeling. This way, the people feel like now that Aso Rock is going to have solar power worth 10 billion, which I'm sure will be okay for them forever. Maybe it wouldn't even care if the people has power or not, since it is already covered. Anyways, beside that one, insecurity. Tinubu security chiefs in talks. 36 governor discuss crisis in Abuja. That's the we find on page 6. Just underneath the nameplate. Lagos has shortfall of 66,000 doctors, nurses, says government. Jackpot. Sad. That story is on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. Beside that one, scandals. President won't allow Akpabio to step aside, says senators. You find that story on page 3. Finally, on the Guardian newspaper this morning, reps say 1,723 vessels engage in sharp practices on Nigerian waters. You find that story on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And now the question is, okay, 1,723 vessels are doing that, just like the reps have claimed. What are you going to do about it? Will there be consequences of action? Or is this just another case of talk, all back, no bite? Until there's consequences of action, nothing will change. So yes, 1,723 vessels are playing sharp ones on our Nigerian waters. What are you doing about it? What will be the consequence of their action? Or is it just going to be swept aside? Just like many other things have been swept aside. That's the much we can take for The Guardian. From The Guardian newspaper, straight to the Punch this morning. And the Punch leads with this one. 2027 power shift. Opposition weakens as more PDP governors, senators, IAPC. 2027 power shift. Opposition weakens as more PDP governors, senators, IAPC. That's story you find on page 2 of the Punch newspaper this morning. It has a couple of riders to that story. It goes: Delta Governor Okowa, Oshun, Jigawa PDP chieftains, others defect to APC. PDP, Bode George attack Tinubu. The opposition weakens and the opposition attacks. Underneath that one, we can see pictures of service chiefs alongside the chief of staff of the president. And it has a headline there: Killings. Tinubu demands fresh security blueprint from intelligence chiefs. You find that story on page 2 as well. FG grants tax waivers to Dangote, Mikano, 103 others. That story you find on page 28. Beside it, US indicts Nigerian for 690k scam. I take that one more time. US indicts Nigerian for $690,000 scam, false citizenship claims. You find that story on page 4. Lagos LG chair aspirant withdraws for Basa's son. Okay. Now that's tricky. I take that one more time. Lagos LG chair aspirant withdraws for Basa's son. So in case you want to find out that detail of that story, you need to go look at page 6 of the Punch newspaper to find out what the Punch has to say about that particular story. And just finally, besides the nameplate of the Punch newspaper, INEC moves to legalize voting without PVC. INEC moves to legalize voting without PVC. That story you find on page 3 of the Punch newspaper. INEC moves to legalize voting without PVC. And it makes you wonder. Doesn't this defeat the purpose of trying to make sure that we do not have illegal votings? Doesn't this defeat the purpose of the whole moving into a system where there is transparency, where there is man, the beavers. We spend so much. We spend so much just to get here. Wouldn't this make all of those spending seem like a waste? Because it seemed like it's of no use anymore. Have a PVC, don't have a PVC, it doesn't matter. So how then do the INEC get to, understand the accredited number of voters that we naturally have, the people who are supposed to vote? How will this go? There's so much about this that we need to find out. There's so much about this that we really need to understand how it works. I think INEC needs to actually come out to talk to the people. Let's understand what really works. Well, let's understand what's going on. At what point are we moving to our elections? Let's get the full picture. As it stands now, if you take out a poll, I beg to say probably it's a 50-50 thingy when it comes to trust on INEC by Nigerians. Let's just leave it at a 50-50, not to take sides or, and all of that. It needs to move to an 80-20. Nigerians needs to be able to completely trust in the system that produces or that conducts elections, that produces our leaders. INEC needs to start building on trust of the people. There needs to be more, exposure. There needs to be more, what's the word? I'm looking for the word. There needs to be more interaction between INEC and the people. We need to understand what is really the plan here. INEC needs to build trust in the people so the people can truly say, okay, if we are going out to vote, we are sure that the Independent National Electoral Commission will secure our votes and make our votes count. How many Nigerians today can beat their hands on their chest and say they trust INEC that much? How many? And that's what I think INEC needs to be working on. There are so many things. We had different electoral acts, different things just to make sure that our election gets better. Did it get better? Some will beg to differ. And now this, it might be a good one for our elections, who knows? And that is why INEC needs to actually talk to the people. Tell the people your plans, how you intend to make sure that the elections are good, how you intend to make sure that the institution is solid enough, the institution is indeed independent enough to conduct these elections. Until a relationship is built between the people, a relationship of trust is built between the people and INEC, no matter the kind of elections, the people will still have doubt in their hearts just because there's really no trust there. So INEC needs to build the trust and fulfill its promises, which it promises. Did it fulfill all of its promises in the 2023 elections? Not to the best of my knowledge. So before you get to 2027, work to build the people's trust. And maybe, just maybe, 2027 elections might be the best one yet. That's the much for the punch. From the Punch to the Vanguard newspaper, Remember, you can be a part of the conversation if you call us up on 0704 425 2109. I take that one more time, 0704 425 2109, or reach us via WhatsApp and your regular text message route on 0907 224 5018. 0907 224 5018. The Vanguard. 2027. Tinubu tightens grip on Southeast, South-South to gale of defections. This story has a couple of riders. Oborevori, Okowa, PDP stakeholders join APC. Happenings in PDP made us defect. Manager. Governor Eno denies dumping PDP. Ebonyaim, ex-PDP state chairman, moved to APC. 150 PDP LP members join APC in Enugu. Delta is finally APC Kiyamo. Attempts to turn Nigeria to one-party state will kill. That's according to Bode George. PDP leaders defecting due to EFCC probe. Momodu. Huge accusation you have here. And this accusation from Momodu comes from a time when it seemed like if you have some sort of case with the EFCC and all of a sudden things happen, create your own imaginations. That is what Momodu is saying. And that's a strong accusation you have there. And we've seen things. If we want to be honest with ourselves, we've seen defections and we've seen people not answering for cases after defection. But a judge is coming out to talk about how turning Nigeria into a one-party state will ruin the country. So many things going on in the country at the moment. And what the people are more interested in is a better Nigeria. The people are more interested in making sure that Nigeria works. That's all the people are interested in. Page 5 is where you will see that story about the defections going on from the PDP and other parties to the APC. It's on page 5. Underneath that one, insecurity, enough is enough. President tells NSA security chiefs. That cannot be overemphasized. That story is on page 8. Underneath that one, flush bandits out of Kwara in 1 month. COAS order troops. That story you find on page 13. Beside it, earned allowances. FG releases 50 billion naira to ASU. Others. Huge. Really, really huge. Hopefully, we hope this will go a long way in making sure that those our lecturers, get to keep or get to, relax more a bit now, because many of them are being owed. There's so much money which they shouldn't be owed, if we're being honest. We're talking about an important sector in the country. We're talking about the education sector this time around, higher education this time around, universities. And none of these kind of people should actually go through situations where they are not living a conducive life. It has a long way in affecting how they do their jobs, which has a long way in affecting how the students receive what is being impacted in them, which in tune determines what they dish out to the world when they come outside. So it's just a cycle. It keeps going round and round and round. So the more they are taken care of, the better output they give, and the better input the students receive, which in turn turns to the better outputs the student puts outside when they graduate eventually. So all this works in one. And it's good news that this amount has been released for them and others involved, and hopefully this goes a long way in helping to solve the issues that they might be facing. At the very top of the nameplate this morning, we see NLC to IMF delegation. Your reforms inflict hunger, poverty on masses. You find that story on page 29. Underneath that one, Nimet strike, chaos as Air Peace grounds all flights nationwide. You find that story on page 9. It will be impossible for flights to go on when the meteorological agency that determines how crazy or how good or how normal the weather is before you can even do nothing are on strike. It will be risky for for airlines to actually, put out their planes out there at this point now, because it's them risking the lives of the passengers. So it's important that the government looks into the strike by NIMET staff and resolve the issues that they are facing so that everything can go back to normal. And other stories we have here. Edun woos international investors. You find that story on page 4. It has one rider. It says, Cardoso to investors, CBN will strengthen processes to sustain confidence. Beside that one, anti-party activities. Atiku, Wike should leave PDP immediately. That's according to Bode George. That story you find on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And other stories which we have here this one at the Sports Corner. Nigeria names 17 athletes for 2025 World Relays. Nigeria names 17 athletes for 2025 World Relays. And hopefully these athletes go out there to do us proud. Hopefully the organizers themselves, in terms of, not the organizers now, I'm talking about the FA itself in Nigeria, the Athletic Federation that we have in Nigeria, hopefully they invest in the people, in making sure that these 17 athletes receive the proper training that they are due, receive a conducive environment where they stay. Hopefully these athletes won't go through what some of our athletes went through in the Olympics. Hopefully these athletes won't go through the issues that are facing the Nigerian sporting industry as it stands right now, which has to do with corruption, which has to do with the inability of those ones who are in charge of these FAs to actually do the job. Most of them do not even know how to do the job. Everything is becoming political now. And it doesn't have to be so. We need to have people who know their onion be in charge of places that they can actually get the job done. Sports is a huge sector that can help lift millions of Nigeria out of poverty. Millions. Not just the ones who will participate in the sporting activities, but the people who are going to even just be around. Imagine a situation whereby the Nigerian Football Federation or the Nigerian Athletics or all of the whole sports thingy in Nigeria are functioning properly. The league matches, the basketball federations, there's national athlete, there's athletics going on yearly, actively every year of high standards. Economically, it will trickle down to almost everyone. There'll be people who are going to work as cleaners, there'll be people who are going to work as engineers, there'll be people who are going to work different positions that are going to be needed, even those who are just selling things. The economic activities of those places at which these sporting activities are going on will keep booming every single day. Sports goes a long way in making sure that things get better. Look at the time Qatar hosted the World Cup. The amount of makeshift hotels that were made, the amount of money that was made to Qatar that year. We need to take sports seriously in Nigeria. We need to take it as serious as it can, because this will go a long way in saving a lot of people from poverty. It's one sector that can do so much for our economy too. And it starts from making sure that the people who are in charge of each FAs when it comes to our sport are people who can actually do the job. The EFCC, in my own books, should go for every single person that has been an FA head in any particular sports organization that we have in Nigeria. If you audit their books, there is no how you won't see something there. It needs to be done. We need to fix our sports industry. There's so much that our sports can do for us economically. So much that it can do for us. And until we fix all of these cracks in every sector that we have, it will be difficult for Nigeria to get to that place which it needs to get to. A destination that we know we have the potential to be at. Nigeria needs to be the giant of Africa, and it needs to challenge the world. We have everything it takes. Everything. Resources, natural and human resources. We need to start making sure that every decision we take, every choice we make, it's a choice that makes Nigeria a better place. Every decision we make is a decision that leaves Nigeria in a better position than it was. At every sector you find yourself in, at every point you find yourself in, you need to be that change you expect to see in Nigeria. And maybe someday, maybe the Nigerian voice will rise and the Nigerian people will take power in their hands as it deserves to be, and they will know their role and know how to wield that power in making sure that Nigeria becomes the nation it deserves to be. And that's how we call it an end on today's edition of the newspaper review right here on our Impact Radio 102.1 FM. I want to say a very big thank you to everybody who, opened their ears to us this morning. We will be back again tomorrow, and we hope you will be here again tomorrow to listen to us. Until I come your way again tomorrow for the newspaper review, my name remains Uche Okorie. Have yourself a beautiful, beautiful Thursday.